So cost-benefit analysis is one method that you can use to evaluate a project. So suppose you want to conduct a cost-benefit analysis, what steps you should follow in your exercise. Let's go through them here. Usually, it involves the following steps. First one, step one, carefully identify the decision problem. What specifically you are evaluating, what project it is. Should a dam be built? That's the project. Or should a dam be built on the upstream of Ross River? That's another decision problem. And I hope you see the difference, right? So the first one would be, should a dam be built? We don't care about where it is built. The second one would be, should a dam be built on the upstreams of the Ross River? That's a different problem, okay? So carefully identify what exactly you are evaluating. That's step one. Step two, identify the constraints to a successful completion. What kind of constraint? If you want to go ahead with the project, what kind of constraint you are faced with? Constraints on meeting the objectives should be studied to ensure the project is feasible. Constraints could be financial resources. Do you have sufficient financial resources for this project? Where are you going to get your fundings? Borrow from bank, issue a stock, issue debt, bond, etc. It could be distribution. For example, whether there's requirements relating to the distribution of project benefits among individuals or groups. Okay. It could be managerial. For example, there could be limits on quantity or quality of staff available to implement the project. It could be environmental. For example, we need to ensure the project meets the environmental protection standards. Okay, that's step two. Clear about the constraints that you are faced with in this project. Step three, identify the alternatives to the project being considered. If you don't go ahead with this project, what other alternatives you can do? Be clear about this. Then we proceed to step four. Remember, in cost-benefit analysis, a key important component is to derive what's the net social benefits, which requires information on the benefits, items of benefits, and items of costs. So here we got to identify items of benefits. Such benefits can include value of output. So you build a dam on the Ross River to generate electricity. The electricity you generated is the benefit, item of benefits. Sometimes as reflected in revenues generated by particular projects. Sometimes we measure this by consumer surplus from actual output. Benefits can include scrap values. You finished the project, you sold the capital equivalent, and that represents a cash inflow to the project. So it's a benefit. Benefits can include avoided costs, costs that would have been paid and do nothing without the project scenarios, without the project situations. Then you got to account for this avoided cost as benefits. Okay, these avoided costs are due to this project, incremental to the societies. Benefits can include productivity savings, reductions in existing levels of expenditure, which can be shown to result from the project or programs. So the project you are assessing is, say, IT training program. Okay, so through the trainings, you increase workers' productivities, and the saving associated with this should be counted as one item of benefits. And benefits can be external, okay, possibly in the forms of improved health and environmental benefits. This typically raises problem of valuations. For example, you want to build parks in townsware, let's say, and one benefit would be people uh, enjoy the goodness of due to this park, okay, and this is intangible. So how can we put a dollar value on top of it? That's the issue that we got to be. If you are assessing such type of projects, you got to be careful about. Benefit can include a reduction in unemployment for a nation, and you got to make sure that such kind of reduction in unemployment is can be shown to be due to the project. Okay, then we got into the step 5, identify the costs, the items costs. Costs can include capital expenditures. So you purchase truck for your dam projects, then that's one item of costs. Operating and maintenance costs for the expected economic life of the project. Again, you got to maintain the dams regularly, and costs associated with this maintenance should be counted as one item of costs. And it can include labor cost. You hire workers to work in this project. And it includes costs of other inputs like materials, manufactured goods, transport, and storage, etc. It should also include research, design, and development costs, if there are any. Important thing is that it should include opportunity cost associated with using any resources committed to this project. A typical example would be land. Okay, so suppose you have a piece of land, your own land, you want to build whatever project on top of it, and you're committing your land resources to this project, and there's an opportunity cost associated with this land. Okay, because otherwise you can use this land for other purpose, for alternative purpose. For example, like to build a house on top of it, right? So there's a cost associated with this piece of land. That's opportunity cost. And costs should also include external costs, such as environmental air pollution, noise, loss of biodiversity, loss of wilderness. For example, let's say Townsville airport want to expand its airport, and you want to conduct cost-benefit analysis of it. And one possible item of costs is, so due to the expansions, there's going to be more flights arrival and departure, and that creates noise. And noise pollution is one item of costs. All right, after this, you identify the benefits, the items of costs. Then you put them into a spreadsheet, for example, like Excel spreadsheet. That shows all benefits and costs, and calculate the total net benefits and discounted net benefit, and compute the NPV associated with this this project, or IRR, internal rate of return of this project. The industry standard format involves, so now in the spreadsheet, you're going to have rows and columns, right? Rows and columns. So the standard format will be, you're going to put years on the columns and items of benefits, items of costs on the rows, okay? And do the computations there. Okay, if your project involves distributional consequences, implications, then you want to discuss these implications. So changes in distribution of income or wealth are not represented explicitly in the NPV calculations. So in these tables, so in the table that we saw a moment ago, it does not account for the distributional impact at all. So in cases where this is important, it's usual or is a kind of standard practice is to provide a discussion of the issue in the report.